What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K right now, here to give you proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. And we are on issue 2 of Hyde Street, and this time we get to learn about Mr. Pip Peabody, the little Boy Scout that Mr. X-Ray doesn't like. So it starts off where he's basically going over his past and how he got to Hyde Street. So he is a Boy Scout and he is kind of definitely very violent. His father, I believe, is a Vietnam War veteran and lost an arm. So of course he was discharged. And while they're all camping, the scoutmaster is just like, you're the only one here that didn't get a badge because you don't know how to tie a bowline knot. And he's like, can you teach me how to do it? And he's like, it's something that your father should have taught you. Why can't you teach him? Is that not your job? So then, of course, all of the kids start making fun of him, talking about what dad doesn't know how to teach their kid how to tie a knot. And they're like, oh, we all already know about his dad. He only has one arm. He's a freak just like his son. Da, 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 da. First of all, you're not about to talk about my daddy like that. And I'm about to beat your ass right here. And he did right by burning down the camp. Not only did he burn down the camp, he then fed his teacher to some bears. And then he, drowned some kids in their canoe. He was doing all kinds of stuff and earning all kinds of badges. So the next thing that happens is that in school they were supposed to be dissecting pigs and they had baby pigs. So he's asking a perfectly logical question about why they were dissecting the baby pigs when they could have been dissecting the adult pigs. And of course the teacher is like, are you as dumb as your students or as your classmates make it sound like you are? Why would we bring 23 adult pigs in here? The babies are more controlled. And that was not a necessary comment. So he starts, asking about, why are we choosing to dissect pigs? Because pigs, intestines and insides are closer to humans. So we get to see how organs work, blah, blah, blah. And Pip is just like, I'd rather cut you open and look at you from the inside, but it's fine. And then he ends up getting into a fight. The police officer's like, you all need to fucking chill out. So at this point in time, he just does not like adults and he does not like authority. So a police officer has wandered onto Hyde Street and goes into the malt shop that Pip is currently in. It's called Bud's. And the police officer's like, I don't really remember this place being here. It reminds me of a place that I used to go to called Bud's. And the guy behind the counter is like, hey, that's my name. And so he asks for a black cow malt or whatever. And Pip's just like, I don't like officers. And he's like, yeah, did you say something? He's like, what, me? No. He's like, shouldn't you be in school? He's like, I'm 11. What the fuck do you think? And so later they end up in the car and he's going to take him back to school and he's talking to him about how he doesn't really like teachers. He doesn't know he's never met his mom and his dad wouldn't even remember him or whatever the hell. And he's like, I don't really like my teachers. I don't like adults, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, respect the badge. You need to respect people. And he's like, why would I have to do that? So while they're driving and kind of arguing, Pip's like, what is that? Do you hear that? And there is somebody in the trunk that's help, and they're crying that they need help. And so the police officer pulls over. His name is Officer Downs. He pulls over, goes to the trunk because he hears the person screaming from the trunk. Pip is looking through the back windshield. He opens it. There's nobody in there. So he gets back in the car and starts driving. And he's like, there's nobody back there. He's like, actually, there was. He's like, I see ghosts. I see ghosts all the time. He's like, I can make you see them too. And he's like, what? He's like, did you want to see the ghosts? And so he causes a car crash. And while Officer Downs is injured, he looks back. And he's asking if the kid is okay or looking for the kid because the only thing there is his hat. So he then starts seeing the reenactment basically of what he did that day. And what he did was cause a head-on collision with a pregnant woman. Now, as we have gathered, Pip does not like when people mess with children. So this lady was pregnant, and Officer Downs hit her head on. And instead of calling it in, saying that he hit her and that she's pregnant and she needs help, he basically strangles and suffocates her and puts her in the trunk, but she's still alive, and he ends up killing her later. Like, so he chokes her until she passes out, then he ends up suffocating her and killing her and her baby. He does not like that. So he starts, Pip is like telling the story of, like, you know, she was 9 months pregnant. You didn't do this, but you did do this. And he's like, you're the South Haven strangler, unless. And then the police officer is like, you know what, fuck this. And he strangles, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm South Haven strangler. And strangles Pip to death. So he then takes him in his fucked up car back to his cabin. Mind you, he's still on Hyde Street. So all of this is happening on Hyde Street. He just thinks that he's elsewhere. So he takes him back to the cabin and is getting ready to bury Pip's body where he buries the other bodies, because he's killed several people at this point. And then he starts hearing police officers outside, and Pip gets up and is just like, sorry, I had already told them about everything that you've done, so they're here to get you. And he starts like freaking out, and Pip is taking like his demonic form, and he fashions a rope into a noose, and he's like, I mean, you can end it all, and starts like handing it to him so that he can hang himself. And so the guy starts freaking out and just starts shooting Pip. He's like, gun works too, whichever one you want to do, but you can end it here and now if you really want to. So then Officer Downs actually ends up killing himself with his gun, and he ends up getting his little badge for delivering another soul to Hyde Street. Okay, so he's at like over 18,000 souls, almost at 19,000. Okay, so he appears back in the mall shop and is like threatening the guy to get him another black cow. When all of a sudden, he is pulled back by the scorekeeper. So him and the scorekeeper, he's like, I'm getting a lot of complaints about you. And he's like, I don't like people telling me what to do. He said, I don't give a fuck about none of that. And he's like, you delivered a soul that was not yours to claim, because Mr. X-Ray had already come across Officer Downs. And so he says, you know what? We all read and abided by the same contract, by the exact words. If you deliver 10,000 souls to the scorekeeper, you get to choose to leave Hyde Street. He said, keyword choose. I'm not leaving, so stop trying to get rid of me. He's like, I don't care what it is that you do, but you have to allow other people to be able to get their 10,000 souls, and you are preventing them from doing that. And he's like, you know, I don't really care, blah, blah, blah. He's like, there are things happening that are beyond your understanding and above your pay grade for sure. And he was like, and you were fucking shit up. So I highly suggest you get it together. And he's like, the first thing you can do is start getting along and apologize to Mr. X-Ray expeditiously. He's like, besides, it's almost Christmas. So first of all, again, the artwork in this book is amazing. I'm loving this. I also love creepy things, and this story is definitely giving. So I can't wait for what the holiday issue is going to be. The characters, Pip is like definitely one of my faves. I do kind of want to see how Mr. X-Ray goes about getting his souls, because he does have a few thousand on the board. So I definitely want to see, but I also kind of want to see some of the other citizens too of Hyde Street, because I think that would be really cool and really fun. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup. And if you haven't gotten my book yet, please do.